And the reason why I sing today is also because, once again, going back to the first band, they're like, we need a singer. And I'm like, well, everybody tried.
Yeah.
And I cracked the least.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, you sing because you sound the best out of all of us. I'm like, but I'm not a singer, man.
Dude, in high school, there's rules. If you sound somewhat decent, you are the singer.
Right.
Like, it's official.
And that's what happened.
And if you're the shittiest guitarist, you're the bass player. Let's do this.
Do this, man.
Awesome. David,
Stef,
thank you for being here, man.
pleasure is mine. Thank you for inviting me, man.
No, I'm super excited for you to be here. Because
Smile.
because I've heard so many great stories, or not. I haven't heard great stories, but Liz told me you have a ton of stories, and there's a whole like amazing,
Yeah,
like, fun
we can-
ups and downs. But that's what makes kind of life interesting.
That's what life is. It's up,
Exactly.
down, and smooth sailing, rough waters, smooth waters. But
Sometimes
yeah,
not even on the fucking boat.
exactly. Yeah, I'd rather do it on land because
When it's rough, you're like, fuck this boat. I want to get off.
I don't want to drown.
Yeah. So
Actually, I almost did once. So
you see what I'm saying? Liz is like, dude, any question you have or anything you have, he's going to have a story for you for sure.
let's
So,
do this.
Let's do this, man. I'm super excited for you to be here today. And, and just what do you start with? Like, what are you doing right now exactly? Like, what are you working on? What's some projects you're working on?
I'm doing so many musical projects. We were speaking earlier before the camera went on about how 2020 hit and COVID and
I think
the
something
whole-
happened. Something,
Did something happen,
something
man?
happened for a few years. I don't know. Some shit. I don't know.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Yeah, but we're live. We're live. We made it through. And yeah, being a musician and everything got shut down, whether it be in the restaurant business and the music industry and whatever happened, like it's construction.
Yeah.
God. Obviously, the price of everything shot up tenfold. But we decided we wanted to just really immerse ourselves in music even more.
Mm-hmm.
And us not being able to work, we're like, okay, well, once everything comes back up and running, what do we do? So we basically diversified ourselves
Okay.
in a sense where not to burn the band that we were in. We started a band called the One Love Project.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was a 4-piece originally, and we basically expanded, whether it be members, and then we branched out into different bands as well. I started my own original project called the David Segreti Band, the DSB, for lack of a better name.
No one's gonna take it.
That's right. That's a good one. I didn't think about that one. And we started a few tribute acts. We started a corporate / top 40 dance band. We diversified ourselves. Everything started running again, and businesses started opening, and we started playing. And then now we're like 2 schedules, trying to make sure we don't double book ourselves.
I was gonna say.
And thanking the universe that it's actually going really well.
Well, you were telling me before it was like 3-4 nights a week you're playing.
Yeah. Whether it be, let's say, one night we'll be with the One Love Project. The other night I'll be doing the David Segreti Band. On another night we have, like as I mentioned, have a band basically called Dance Deluxe.
Okay.
And it's exactly what it is. It's an array of like all the classic, whether it be funk, R&B, dance, actually a bit of hip hop. It's a bit of everything. The old classic rock tunes. There's myself singing in the project. I'm not the main singer, but I sing and play guitar in the band. There's Dan O'Peace, that is the main male singer. We have a female singer, Karen Deschamps, so basically what we do is she'll sing one, Dan will sing one or two, and then I'll sing one, and back and forth. Keys, horns. It's really
it's a full set.
It's an awesome band, awesome sound. Casinos. We do the casinos with that band. We do corporate events. We also, like I mentioned, we have tribute acts. We have I myself basically front a Jimi Hendrix tribute, which
I so
is
see that.
super awesome. So glad.
I can
yeah,
so see that happening.
it's such a great gig. We also have a tribute to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which we work. Another awesome band. We do a tribute. Well, tribute. I call them tribute. I guess once again, for lack of a better name, we pay homage. How's that? To Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah.
We have So there's those three. We also do that's like our the one that really like big and elaborated. Once again, we got like it's the Bob Marley tribute. That works really well.
I was about to say that because I was the one that I was like, is he not doing that? Because that's the one that I've seen a little more often.
Yes, that's.
And how did that start though? Like, because I could see that there's totally that vibe. Even when the way you talk, the way you act, when we just met you, I felt like there's that one love vibe, dude. Like you give that just.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're.
It's just naturally. It's not like a bullshit charade or anything.
No,
like,
no,
it's so your character, you know.
Well,
what
I mean,
saying?
we all are. We're big, open-hearted people. We're passionate about what we do, and that's another reason why we called it One Love Project. Not because, like, we didn't originally start Bob Marley tribute. We just.
So how did it start?
Here we go.
Here we go.
2014,
Okay.
Dano, Peace, and myself decided let's start a band. Because we come from two different bands that actually weren't playing anymore.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back even more.
Yeah, go back.
2000, yeah. Well, I originally I was in a band called Dr. Hadley back in the end of the 90s or...
I didn't know you were in that band.
Yeah. I was actually.
I remember the name of the band. Like I didn't know any of the members, but I remember hearing always about the band.
I was part of the band there. I was the singer, guitarist. We had got signed to. Now I'm going brief because it's like we just went back a few decades. We got signed to an independent label. We packed up and moved down to Arizona. We basically nothing came out of it. They were just empty promises. But we had a really awesome experience because we were living in a house down in like I think it was Mesa.
How old were you?
30 in the 30s somewhere.
Okay.
Mid 30s.
And was that like that was the project that finally cut through the like let's say?
Well, we started working right. We did a few really cool we did some we were the opening act for a few bands. We played with Alice Cooper. We played with the Scorpions. We played with Bon Jovi. Did the opening first act for them, which was really awesome. Amazing experiences. But when it came time for like we were working it, and like I say, we moved to Arizona. We signed to a small independent label. Empty promises. We just kind of got shelved. So we were like,
how do you feel in that moment, dude? Like,
well, that's the thing. We were like, fuck. We were trying to figure out what was going on. Like, we were living in a house, a really cool house actually in the suburbs.
Like, at least it was a fucking cool house, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like they put us up in a house. They're like, all right, we're rehearsing in the living room. You know, we each had our own room, and the communal room was the living room where we had all our gear set up, and we did some cool recording at the same time, getting ready, pre-prodding for. I guess what we thought was going to be all right. We'll continue, you know. Yeah. We're going to start touring the U.S.
Yeah,
this which is our everybody. Album, right. Yeah. The album was out, and but no, we actually did one gig. Oh, fuck. While we were there. We were there for several months actually. Oh, man. Like something's not right. So he's like, you know what? Packed up. We moved back home, and then it was just shit wasn't working out for some reason. I guess we were. Probably like a decade and a half in, and we're like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. I had met my girlfriend at the time. So I actually basically a whole career changed. Like, see you later. I'm out, man. I actually, I quit music, man.
You know it's crazy.
I was like, I'm done with this shit.
Isn't it? You could say whatever you want. It's funny you say that because there's this element. When you feel like there's that disappointment with music or in art or whatever it is that you're working on, it's like a consistent story that you're like you're heartbroken, dude.
Yeah, that's like, what it was.
It's like a divorce from the thing like you love at a certain point. You need to walk away, and you're like, fuck, I gotta leave. And I had the same feeling when the band didn't make it, and we were kind of like working towards something, and then it didn't happen. at a certain point, I was like, I'm fucking done.
I'm done, right?
I'm fucking done, dude. I gotta walk away. So it's like I totally, it resonates exactly how you felt. It was
There
just
you
like,
go. I mean,
fucking
everybody,
done.
you know, it's only natural. Like, I guess, I just, so many beatings.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. And really good friends with my bandmates. So I was like, guys, before we actually hate each other,
Yeah.
let's just like, I'm gonna like, I'm not pulling the plug, but I'm like, I'm calling it quits for now. I'm like, I need to just back up from this. And career change, whole life change, man.
Where'd you go into?
I met my girlfriend at the time. I started doing landscaping, man, as a like a full-time job. I opened up my own business. Like, I went that way.
You went so complete shift.
Yeah, complete shift.
Oh, fuck.
And as it started to get really intense in there, and then, like, I settled in, bought a house, and then we got married, and it's like, you know, it was like, and I realized, like, oh, wait a minute. I'm getting further away from what I kind of really love to do. Not that, I mean, I'm passionate about whatever I get myself into. So I was like, hold on a second here. And that's when we hooked up with my buddy Dano. And same thing with him. He wasn't really playing anymore. He was like, he was on a hiatus as well. We got a call from some friends of ours to go play Morocco.
Oh, fuck. Like Morocco.
Like Casablanca, Morocco. In a really cool gig in a hotel.
Right now.
So we're like, okay. I'm like, you know what?
But hold on. Before you get to Morocco.
Yeah.
The call from, what was his name, Dano?
Yeah.
How was that call?
Basically,
because you're in a whole fucking other world right now.
Yeah.
Your landscape, you're married, all this shit is like kind of a
well, I mean,
9 to 5, but entrepreneur life. All of a sudden, you're in that
self-employed.
World. Self-employed,
so,
yeah. But at the same time, it's like now you're in a whole other world where now you've kind of created another universe in a sense.
Yeah, and the more time I would put into it, once again, like I said, I'm passionate about stuff I do. The more I was diving deeper in, and I was getting calls and say, hey, you wanna
you're doing a great job,
partnership? Yeah. We're gonna invest. Let's take this to the next level.
That's
and I'm
what
like,
saying.
oh, hold on a second.
So that's what I'm saying is you get a call now that just kind of interrupts.
Yeah, and I went
this like line, and was it like a lifeline, almost in a sense, like thank fucking God I got this call?
Yes, yes, because I would have probably no regrets, right? I don't want to have any regrets in life, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to just get back into it, and I slowly got back into it with my buddy Dano, and we went to Morocco.
Slowly got into it, so we went to Morocco.
10 weeks.
That's your small step. Is Morocco?
Yeah, that's my little baby step. Yeah, fly to Morocco.
Bite-size, step into this.
Get on a 6 nights a week, 1 day off gig for 10 weeks.
Yeah, that's
in a hotel.
That's a small step towards this new path. You fucking psycho.
And then that's we were sitting in a hotel room and we're like, hey, we can do this back home. We don't have to come to Morocco. But this was like a great first step. Little baby step.
Well, it's also like, dude, Morocco is just awesome.
Oh, my God.
What a great country. I was there for a few weeks. Well, maybe 2-3 weeks, something like that. And it was just, you walk out of it and it kind of leaves.
It's enlightening.
Yeah, especially, and I'm sure you did a whole desert trip down there.
I didn't have time to, but like I mentioned, we had that 1 day off. We had Sunday off, and obviously you're playing 6 nights a week. You're like, man, I'm just going to shut down and sleep for 24 hours till Monday comes along. But nope, we would actually book a driver. We'd sleep in the minivan, and we'd end up in some other city somewhere along the coast. And I went to this place called Essaouira. It's a small fishing village on the coast, a little further south of Casablanca. And they have a festival called the Gnawa Festival, which is their music. It's like the time signatures are like
it's next level.
It's next level.
As a Western, like from a Western perspective, it feels so odd.
Well, you know what? Now when you're there, you're like, oh, so that's why bands like Led Zeppelin come here and all these like you know to get that vibe, the music, the essence of. Check it out.
It's just
whoever's watching, check out the Gnawa music. It's something.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
And we happened to actually, the time we were there, we actually got to see the closing of the festival one night. I was like, oh my God, perfect timing, man. The universe. Awesome. Thank you, universe. And once again, was showing me, this is for you, man. So I immersed myself in music. We came back, and that was like 2015. We formed a band called the One Love Project with myself, Dan O'Peace, Wesley Smith, the bass player, and at the time it was a drummer by the name of Stefan Godreau.
Okay.
He's no longer with us. Rest in peace, Stef. Big Stef.
Okay.
And we were like, yeah, man, let's do this. So that's how we started getting into funny back then. The first thing we actually did wasn't a Bob Marley tribute. We did a Peppers tribute. Red Hot Chili Peppers. We started getting a few gigs, and then we were like, hey, wait a minute, man, let's get into the reggae thing.
Yeah.
And then we did that, and then we basically started learning different repertoires.
And what did it do for you? Because Dr. Hadley was more of a rock band.
Yeah, it was a more hard rock.
Yeah, that's what I remember. You know, so it's like there was a certain sound, and then all of a sudden it goes into this like completely different vibe in a sense of like reggae, rock, and then funk, and kind of leaving
roots,
that.
rock, yeah.
Yeah, you know. So what was it that kind of triggered to go into that type of music versus going back to what you knew?
Not basically sticking to one genre or style, just being open.
Yeah.
Because, man, there's just so many different amazing styles of music. And now today, in this day and age, it's like everything's kind of, it's a melting pot,
Yeah.
right? It's just like there's so many different influences coming from everywhere. And I find it so awesome because I remember back then it was like, well, you're either a rock band or you're this band, or you're just like, hip hop was hip hop. Things didn't mix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And new wave or whatever you want to call it, or dance or disco, and it's like nothing mixed, and everything had its own style, and nowadays it's like just one giant beautiful salad. One melodic salad.
It's funny you say that because I remember too when I was young. It was like I liked hip hop, but in high school or whatever it was like you couldn't be this hard rock guy and be this like loving hip hop at the same. Like you have to make a decision of which group you were gonna be with because it would change your friends. It was like everything, and then you had to almost like be different people when you were with those different groups because you had to. You know, like you couldn't talk about rock music when you were with your hip hop friends. When you couldn't talk really about hip hop when you were. It was like this really like it was a really weird time of like people really staying to what they knew, and that's
the peer pressures.
Yeah, it's so stupid when you think about it now. It's just fucking music, but it was so crazy how like it was obvious that there was a line.
Yeah, so that's basically that we wanted to break that barrier and say, hey, you know what? Let's just make music.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful today to actually have gotten back into it. And I'm grateful that I'm able to do it because a lot of people I know, once COVID hit, they just said, fuck, screw this, I'm done.
Say that.
They sold all their gear and they're like, I'm changing career, kind of like what I did.
Yeah.
A few days.
How does that make you feel? Like when you see like the people kind of going through that phase right now?
They have to live something else. I don't see it as like, no, man, don't do it. I was like, well, if that's your decision, you'll probably either, you'll maybe something else will come out of it and you'll be really happy and music will be just like a side thing, or you'll do what I did and you'll realize, no, man, I gotta take this to the next level.
It's funny you going back to that, just that feeling, because I think there's so many people that hear this thing, like hear something inside of them telling them like, fuck, like there's something. Did you ever have that when you were doing the landscaping? Like you help, or was it really like did you have like a bit of that inkling in the back of your head every time you'd be working on a project, like, oh, this is great, like I like it, it's fun, but
it's funny that you mentioned that. My outlet was being creative in a sense where I was my own. Well, I actually worked for a company for a brief period, but then that's funny now. I'm like thinking of all the things that happened along the way during the journey. Is like I actually got a few gigs here and there while I was doing the landscaping thing, working for a company and being serious. I was actually like I was a I guess you could call it a foreman, and I had a team with me. And, and I was getting some small gig offers to go play with some friends, and I actually took them, and then it started basically interfering with my job. Obviously, is like call my boss up at the time. It's like, hey, I think I need to take Friday off. I got a gig, and he's like, he gave me one. Yeah, no problem. And then the next one, he's like, dude, no, ça marche pas ça.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I guess I know what I got to do now.
Yeah. But sometimes it's like you need that, because it's weird. Had he kept on letting you go, it's kind of like that weird. It's tough to make a decision. I find sometimes when you have those you get cornered and you have to make a decision. It's like, okay, I got to make a decision.
And
now,
and I made a decision.
And you made a decision finally on it.
Which was hard at the time because, you got so many bills to pay and you got so many responsibilities. I'm like, shit, how am I going to make ends meet? And I was like, basically, freaking not choked, but I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is like, the money's not coming in. It's like, shit, I got to start playing more.
Yeah.
And, but at the time, it was like, I was just getting back into the game. And it's like, nobody's going to pay you. You could fucking do your time in the trenches again and, go do the pubs and whatever petty cash that you make. But going back to what you were saying, the back in the back of my mind, I was basically running my own company, doing landscaping, and you're creating in a sense where you're, the work that you're doing, it's somewhat artistic, and that was my outlet.
Yeah.
You
were still kind of
I was still creating something
with your hands.
With my hands, as opposed to, like music melodically or with my mind or always with the heart. But I was like, no, there's something missing.
It's crazy how you just that, dude.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how you know that?
Well,
it's like you choose, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's
like, you know what?
Just shut up.
Just do it.
Just
whatever happens, man. No matter how bad it gets. And now I know. It's like, look, I'm just going to do this. And I know that I can't do anything else because I won't be happy. I tried it. Didn't work out. And I'm just going to make music, man, till I take my last breath. And that's
so
it.
Dramatic that
I'm done.
But it's cool to hear that, because there was such an easy way to stop listening to it. Because you're in the fucking grind, right? And there's the disappointment too that came with it.
Yeah.
So it has so many levels. Like when you hear it, so many reasons why not to go back to it. And I find, when that was one of the things I think Liz didn't mention anything about a backstory, but I was like, I'm sure there's a story here of there's disappointment. Like when you go, if you're anywhere in music for a long time, there's disappointment.
Yeah.
And then if you're there for coming back or hearing it, it's like it just fucking confirms that it's something you wanted to do. It wasn't just a passion anymore. It was it's a fucking it's a livelihood. It's for you. It's everything.
It's just part of your DNA. It's like, that's it. But you know what? At the same time, you made me realize something, that no matter what you do in life, there's good people and there's bad people. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so it's.
So what do you
can't let it get to you.
What do you mean?
They're all learning experiences.
Yeah.
Well, like the whole crappy part of the whether it be the music industry or the film industry or the food industry or the rag trade or whatever it is, there's arseholes.
It's
in the biz.
We were talking about that yesterday, of just you think about these things, and they could be done for so many good reasons, but if you have the wrong person there, controlling that, then it kind of just destroys the whole process that could be good and could benefit so many other people. So we were just saying that same thing. It's like at a certain point, if you just look at those people, you're never going to move forward in what you really want to do. That's because right. You're going to say, fuck.
That's right.
The game is rigged. There's always something that, but there's always, and I don't know. Okay.
There is a percentage, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, somebody wants to keep this stronghold, and it's like, no, if you want this, well, you have to come through me. And it's like, well, yeah, this exists without that person
exactly.
or that entity. So, just go around it and say, well, I'll just push forward and do it without you. Sorry, buddy.
Maybe I'll ask this question. What was your definition of success when you were Dr. Hadley versus definition of success today?
The definition of success back then was signing a record contract, making that it's like for some reason we have this notion of once you sign a contract with a company, a label or whatnot, it's like, all right, I made it. It's like, man, the work only starts then.
Yeah, the pearly gates open.
Yeah,
and you access to every woman, every concert in the
Right.
world, the Wembley Stadium. I remember in my mind I used to think,
Right.
if we ever get signed, oh man, wouldn't it be great? Wembley Stadium.
Wembley Stadium, wow.
Dude, I always had this thing.
Those are
Wembley
great. Those are great visions. Those are great, like, goals to look forward to. But at the same time, it's like, it's not really that. It's actually, like everybody says, it's the whole journey of it, man, and everything along the way, because like you're thinking of something all the way somewhere really far ahead of you, and it's like, well, there's so many other things that could happen along the way, and then and I'm sure back then there were like opportunities that took us. Oh, wait a minute, there's this door that's opening, which you're like, no, I'm going there.
Exactly.
It's like, well, what about? So then it's too late. It's like, oh, you go to the next opportunity, and so so that was back then like your idea of success or now I think just waking up and being really happy that I could actually make music and the people I'm surrounded with that are so amazing to make music with, and we basically created so many opportunities for ourselves without looking forward to signing some sort of contract or being with a certain entity or company or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like we actually opened our own company in a sense. Like it's like, you know what? we wanted to work. Obviously we work with like a few agents, and there's still some of our old contacts which very grateful for. We can actually still work together with. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you want to do something, there's that old saying, kind of, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we want to work. Well, let's open ourselves a production company.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We basically, it's like, all right, let's get incorporated. This is what it is. It's called OLP Productions, Inc. And we have a tribute to this, a tribute to Marley, a tribute to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. We do the Stones. We have our dance band, which we do corporate events and play the casinos and private gigs, and I got my own thing, the David Segreti band, which I do. It's like a classic rock, blues.
Yeah.
It's also a mix of a whole bunch of different tunes. I mean, I do some reggae, I do some,
you have a
it's
fucking
like,
repertoire of just everything you just named. You can play any night of the week at any bar if you want.
Exactly. It's like a few songs from every band, and there's the set, there's the night.
Exactly.
I also have original material that I'm working on. I'm finishing up an album. So it's like, there you go. You know what I mean?
But it's that's what I love hearing is, I had the same idea of like what, success just in general was always to be this idea of number one. Like there is no other number but number one. Like, I don't know if you had that same idea of like, it had to be 1 million records you had to sell and that was success, or that stadium, or, this tour or whatever the story is.
Well, just to give you an example, back then with Dr. Hadley, we had a cover band that we were working here called The Nerds.
Okay.
We would dress up literally like nerds. Like literally.
It must have been a fucking fun gig though.
It was amazing. We created a monster.
Why?
Because funny enough, our band, Dr. Hadley at the time, playing the clubs, we got a band from one particular club, because we were too, well, not we, but I mean, the crowd would get rowdy and get into it, and and they didn't like it. So they're like, you guys can't play here. And this is too much. You guys can't play here. We're like, fuck. And where are we going to play? So we basically, we disguised ourselves.
You have to fucking get a gig, dude.
Right? So we're like, hey, let's call ourselves the Nerds. We'll disguise ourselves. We'll wear glasses and we'll fucking comb our hair like look nerdy.
That must have been amazing. You have to send a picture if you have one.
Actually, I will. I will do. And we basically got back into that club. We got booked through some friends. Say, hey, these guys are really good. And they liked the shtick. They got into it. It was like slightly comical, and the music was good. And we did a whole bunch of different styles. Like I even sang like girl songs. No Doubt, and Courtney Love, and like Lady Gaga, and the band was like super heavy, and
And it just worked.
And it worked. People loved it. They loved the whole idea of like the visual, the music was good. And then we went to go get paid that night, and at that particular club that we were barred at, and I was like, take off my glasses, like my hair, and he's like, "Oh, tabarnak, it's you guys." And then the smile, cracked the smile, and that's how we broke the ice. And then
that's a great,
that's an amazing story because that particular band would fund our original project before we actually got signed and all that, and then we decided, hey, let's put out a cover album. We did a few originals on the album. We did a song full of, an album full of covers. We put out a CD. Man, the thing sold like 30,000 copies.
Get the fuck out of here.
We did a video. We started getting on the French
oh my God, so
talk
this literally
shows.
became a monster. It became like the band almost.
Yeah, but in our eyes, we were like, well, okay, this is like funding our original project, which would take us to the States. Once again, you're looking at, oh my God, the dream, the American dream. Man, the dream was right in our backyard.
It's crazy.
And all the doors were opening, and we kind of like...
But you don't...
We didn't neglect it, but we were always looking at that, our priority was the other band, and then we kind of let that nerd band kind of not fizzle out, but we just... Okay, well, now we're going on to do the other thing, and then that didn't work out, and I was like, screw this. And we just stopped altogether. But now I'm back in, so it's just amazing stories. It's all part of the journey, man.
But you know what? I find you need those stories, though. Like, as you're getting older, you're realizing that the battle scars are really, like, where the fucking life happened. Like, all those moments of shit, whenever you really think about it, it's like, you look back and you're like, fuck, I made it through. It's like that hero's journey, they call it, And it's so weird how you don't want to be in pain, but then when you're out of it and you're happy, you realize, oh man, thank God I had that fucking pain because it got me to where I am today. It wasn't
as bad, It's just because I guess you're so
entrenched in it. Like
yes,
you're
so
entrenched
blind.
in it.
You're passionate.
Yeah,
and it's like really, man. You just like take the knife out.
Yeah,
and keep going.
That's fucking dude. So now with the band that you're with today now. Well, the bands, right? The company itself.
Yes.
Right? So you had made the decision that finally, like, I'm going to take control, or we're going to take control as a unit. We don't want to depend on other people, and we're going to create our own opportunities.
That's right.
What did that do mentally for you as, like, the potential now? Once you've kind of, like, really believed in that concept.
Man, it's just wide open. If you think about it, it's like... Well, what do we want to do? We want to try doing this idea. It's like, hey, I got an idea, and then just bringing it to life. Yeah. And it's like, well, this is awesome, And we ponder on a few ideas, and sometimes it takes a little longer for them to come to fruition. But at the same time, if it's kind of not working out, or we're saying this might not be the right idea, so that's our reason for. We like to take our time. Funny enough,
how does it work
in this like upbeat world and everything's so fast? It's like we're kind of like, okay, we put an idea on the table and then we talk about it in another week, and then second week, and then the third week. It's like, okay, we're all good, and then we slowly start working at it, basically. And
it's fuck, dude. It's at times. When I hear things like this, I don't feel as crazy anymore. I don't feel like a fucking psychopath, because before, my decision-making process was so fast. Yeah. I was like trying to understand everything in a span of fucking 2 hours.
I was exactly like you.
Like, okay, somebody brought an idea.
I'm not gonna go back on my decision. This decision I made, and it's like, well, hold on a second.
Yeah. Now it's like, okay, what
you just closed all the doors.
But what state am I in even right now to hear this fucking opportunity or this decision I have to make? It's like, okay, now I don't know what I'm thinking right now. Like I just got the information. Let me kind of sit in it a bit, and then you finally feel like you walk out, but you end up making a decision, because then you could be the other side too, right? Like where you get an opportunity.
You don't procrastinate.
You don't procrastinate. Like you listen, you think about it, you read about it, maybe you kind of try it out a bit too. You like testing it, and then you're like, you know what? I think there's something about this that's like, it's smelling right. It's like a recipe. The fucking food's smelling good right now. That's right. And then you're like, okay, let me fucking cook this whole thing, and I want to eat it. But before it would be like, I gotta eat it now, and if it doesn't taste good, it's out. You know, it's like, and when I think about
fast food, no.
Yeah,
See, there you go. No fast food. Fast food's not good for you. So
I like
fast thoughts.
I like fast food, but I just don't want to make my decisions like fast food anymore. But it's like that idea now. When I hear that, I'm like, okay, you know, there is something about maybe getting burned in the past, but not looking at that from a negative perspective.
There you go.
Of looking at it from just a perspective like
life experience.
How can I grow from the fuck up and the mistakes that I made versus kind of like, I don't want to ever make a mistake again, you know?
That's right.
So that's what it sounds like. What's happened with you guys is like, you're like, hold on, guys. Like every idea is an idea right now. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to decide if it's a good one for us.
That's right.
You know?
It's, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
There. You had no, it's because you mentioned something and I was like, that's exactly it.
Fast food. You're hungry?
No. Actually, liquid diet coffee. It's fine. It'll come back.
It'll come back. If it has to, it will.
Yeah.
So like, how does a project start now? So let's say when you were starting some of these other new projects that are coming your way, someone says, I have this idea. You do what now?
Well, I think right now we're pretty much full on ideas. All our plates are pretty much not full, but it's cooking. As you're saying, it's simmering. Everything's on simmer, and then it's like slowly cooking, and it's working, and it's smelling good. The original stuff I always wanted to continue. Like we basically built our different bands so we could work and not burn the same band, right? Yeah. Playing every week the same repertoire, same people. So we diversified.
That must be fucking, at a certain point, it's exhausting to go out and.
Well, yeah, especially if we were to play like the same band, same repertoire, like 3-4 times a week, it wouldn't work really because, I mean, you know.
Actually, that was a question I was going to ask.
It would if we'd be like playing different cities, but if we're always in the area, it doesn't work.
I was going to say, how do you, you know, maybe you probably already answered, but how do you keep that enjoyment and that excitement being on stage so often?
Oh, can't wait to get on stage.
No, I'm just asking because I know some people, it's like, you see it in their face that they look more exhausted than excited.
I'll be exhausted before the gig, but once we get on stage, it's like ding. It's like this thing happens. But no, I look forward to playing, man. I look forward to traveling to go play. I will look forward to sound checking. I look forward to, you know, it's like once again, it's all like part of the process. Yeah. You know, not only the that feeling of being on stage and the exchange between the people that are there, whether it be 5 or 500, there's something that happens, but it's the whole process, day in, day out. That's what usually, that's what I love to do.
You know, it's funny, man. No matter what industry or someone that comes on this show, whatever industry they're from or they're in, I mean, it's always that same thing I'm noticing. It's like a common thing. It's not the end result, but it's the whole process of it. And I think that's just like something that people are, even sometimes I forget at times. Like it's like the podcast. I like the process of it. I like setting up the room for the guests.
Right.
I love, you know, when they come over, just that whole idea. Making
like sure all the cameras are set up right, the lighting.
You know, everything part of it is like, it's a fun process. And then there's the editing to it. And then there's the release of it. And then, you know, and all those things. And I feel like if I would only like this part, I probably wouldn't do it.
There'd be something missing.
There'd be something
like
missing.
If you had people working for, hey, look, if people start working for you, that means you're getting bigger and bigger. That's a good thing. I wish that for you.
But so sorry, you were mentioning the original project.
Yes, the original.
How's that like for you now, going from a world of like, you know, covers and original, and tribute bands and, you know, projects where they're kind of always consistent. There's always going to be a demand for it, to something that's like putting yourself back out there. You know,
it's
hands down, dude. And you're finally writing about
it's amazing. It's awesome because I guess ever since back then with Hadley, or I remember even since I was like really, really young, when I first started playing, I was like, I think the first time I started playing an instrument, I was 9. I didn't.
Would you play guitar? Or?
I started playing guitar at 9. Mm-hmm. I was taking lessons from one of my cousins, which is my mentor, Joseph Segreti, and at the time taking lessons. It was summer, 9 years old. My pops would take us fishing in the summer. So my lessons were Saturday morning, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to take lessons on a beautiful day. I want to be in the woods with my dad. And so I kind of let it go till I was 12. And some neighborhood friends of mine came to knock on the door one day. It's like, all right, where we're going to play? They're like, no, man, we're going to start a band. I'm like, I want to play even before I could say guitars. Like, she's playing bass, I'm playing drums, he's playing guitar, and you're playing keyboards. I'm like, what?
You got keyboards.
I got keyboards. I'm like,
and you got to do it, dude. Or else you're not in the band.
Yeah, we didn't even have a band yet, and I was out of the band if I didn't say yes.
You're like, fuck it. You're like, fuck it. I got to...
Okay. So I started taking lessons, and thanks, guys and girl. I started taking lessons, and that was the best thing I ever did. Yeah. It taught me my right hand coordination. It trained my ear. I learned the theory, and we basically did it for a few years. And from back then, we were actually writing songs. Like, oh yeah, yeah. I was like 12, 13 years old, and we were writing. I mean, they weren't best songs, but we were still
old, man. You're writing a song like
creating, right? Exactly. Just the process of creating something that's not, that's yours, that you guys like, oh, cool, and it's from back then, I think, and then the band with Dr. Hadley. And
how was your family though? Like, were they a family that
they were very supportive? Yeah, I mean, very. They didn't like restrict me from doing anything. Yeah. They always is like, well, if that's what you want to do, they would give me advice, and they would say, be careful. And it's like,
I was just saying, I'm waiting for that. Right? I'm like, I don't fucking believe that they didn't say, be careful, have a side.
At least it was that, and not like, no, you can't do that.
I know. When I would hear stories like this of like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, oh man, that must suck.
That must have been hard.
That must have been hard for that kid.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good on the development of of a young person, of a young human being trying to pursue something that they really are passionate about. And sometimes it might not be the thing, but you still have to go through the process to realize on your own.
You have to try it to know if you don't like it. You know what I mean? You can't let someone else tell you you don't like it. Try the fucking dish. If you don't like the food, that's okay. You don't have to but you got to eat the fucking dish yourself.
That's right.
But anyway, and then from that was that the band Dr. Hadley?
Dr. Hadley. Well, no, that was another band I had while I was living in Montreal, and then my parents sold a house, and all the stuff was out of the house. And that one last night that I actually stayed behind with my bro. My bro was we used to rehearse in the basement. Okay. Of the house, and
your parents must have been buzzing.
Well, actually, no, I never got any
No, me too. My family was my family and my friends' families, but I'm sure the ones that weren't big fans of the kids must have, especially the one that's the drummer, the parents of the drummer. Oh man, they must have been losing their shit.
Oh, that's why I guess we rehearsed at our place, because nobody wanted to, Then it's like, no, you're not coming to our house to rehearse. So all the gear was kind of gone except for the guitarist's gear. His amp and guitar stayed behind, and he was gonna come pick it up the following day. So I took it up into the living room at my parents' house. There was no furniture. I'm sitting down on a carpeted floor in the living room with no gear, no furniture, but the guitar and the amp. My brother's having his house party with his buddies in the basement, and I'm upstairs. Man, I stayed up all night, and the chords that I learned on the keyboard, this way I was transposing them. Yeah, and that's how I actually learned guitar that night. I learned my first hand position chords, and then from that was I moved to the North Shore, Laval, my parents, and then I went to another high school, and then I met the guys in the band from the following band.
And you're like, I'm fucking the guitarist now.
Well, there was a guitarist, so I was actually just a backup guitarist. I was more, I guess they wanted me to become a singer, and the reason why I sing today is also because, once again, going back to the first band, they're like, we need a singer. And I'm like, well, everybody tried. Yeah. And I cracked the least.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, you sing because you sound the best out of all of us. I'm like, but I'm not a singer, man.
Dude, in high school, there's rules. If you sound somewhat decent, you are the singer.
Right.
It's official.
And that's what happened.
And if you're the shittiest guitarist, you're the bass player at the beginning. Dude, it's like because everybody's trying to buy, everyone's fighting for a drums guitar position, and then bass is always like, it doesn't happen often where naturally someone says, like back then. I feel like back then, 90s,
True
like
that.
now it's different.
It's either
I feel
drums or guitar.
Dude, I remember like growing up 90s, it's like it was everyone was a drummer, everyone was a guitarist. So when you found a bass player in the school, you were like, I'll fucking marry you if I have to. Just come into the band. And if you found someone that could relatively sing okay, you're like, I got a lead singer here. It was like, I got to fucking, I remember I was hunting around in high school, finding, when I found a guy, I'm like, you, band, come in. It was like, I was just hunting people down, man.
Yes, man. If you can envision this, I'm sitting alone. I'm just like, I'm the new kid, right, in the school, and all of a sudden I look up and I see this dude walking like hefty and with a leather jacket, and he's got two goons behind him.
What the fuck is happening?
Twins.
No way.
We're all friends now. We're still friends. But they come walking towards me and they look at me like, hey, I hear you sing. You want to join my band? I'm like, yes.
Dude,
yes.
I was that guy that came up to you. I was that guy.
Afraid. I was like, okay, am I gonna get a beating here? Am I gonna get caught? And
I'm gonna introduce you to Chris, the guy that helps with the production of the show, is my partner. And when he came to the the jam with us the first time, he goes, dude, I saw you, and you don't even look at me. You're like, he's like, we're playing songs, and I had this bandana on, dude, a long leather jacket, fucking rings everywhere, and everything. And I'm like, we're playing this song. Like, I didn't even like. And he was like, after the set, after the whole thing, he left. We didn't even tell. I was like, we don't tell anybody that they're in the band right away. Like
yeah. It's like,
and then we just made him keep coming, but we never told him that he was like officially in the band. And then it was just like hilarious. He just kept on coming, but we never gave him the official yes.
That's funny.
Yeah, man. But anyways, so after high school, there was all that kind of like you picked up the guitar now and you get into this band, and then that band kind of turns into Dr. Hadley. And
that's right. The band turns into Dr. Hadley. We actually were like, we did some covers but it was actually more original oriented. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, this is cool, man.
And now circling back to today, going back into the originals, does it feel like you're kind of back in that like that open spirit, like that creative spirit of what high school in a sense, or is it kind of taking the whole piece of it and kind of this new vision of life? Like, how are you looking at an original project now?
I just feel that I need to, like, whatever ideas I have, or whether it be a melody or I just need to get it out, just like some an artist who paints needs to put some paint on the canvas, whether it's good or not. It's like I think it's not even up to us to decide anymore. It's just it just needs to come out, and that's what it is. Like, I'm not gonna say, well, this has to be a hit song, or it's like, it's just whatever comes out, whether it be rock, country, blues, folk, classical, like it's whatever it is. Like, it's just, it's got to come out. So
it's I remember hearing something that, once you create art, and that was kind of like something that resonated with me too with the show, because I find the show is kind of like a conversation can be an art form. And, because you don't know what comes out of it, right? Like, we didn't practice this, we didn't rehearse. This is just like, this is improvising.
And that's the beauty of that too, whether it be the podcast or a band playing together and being a whole bunch of people in a room exchanging and expressing together. And it's like on the spot.
I was just about to say that.
Right.
For me, what I love in music now, the part that I miss of music, is not the actual structure of the song. It's the section where everyone just feels where they need to go in that whole improvisation area of a song. And then when you see that, and you see the band kind of just reading off each other, talking without talking, basically, and you just see that happen, there's a moment that whoever you are in the crowd, you just kind of, you always feel it. I remember even when we would play gigs and we would go into those improv sections, and the crowd too would just kind of like, wait a minute, like, this is something it's now, and it's over. You're never going to see this again.
That's right, and they feel it. We have a bit of that essence when we play with One Love, and we kind of take it, obviously, with the other bands. We there's a structure to the songs, but even with myself, with the DSP, I love doing that, where it's like, okay, these are the songs, but we're not going through the structure as if the way you think
Yeah.
the songs actually are like recorded. Like
Yeah.
this is just a base for
Yeah,
us
it's a
to, you know, we
foundation
might,
to-
a foundation. We might improvise here and there. It's just like just heads up. Let's always be aware, you know, of what we're doing, of where we're gonna go, and it is what it is. Like sometimes I'll just write a whole bunch of songs on a sheet. I'll put it down on stage, and then we only do like a quarter of that. It's like somebody calls something, and they're like, "You guys know that?" You know, and it's like, 50% of it, good enough.
Good
Let's
enough.
do it.
If you know 50%, you're fine. By the time the song's over, they had a few more beers. It'll sound all the same.
And we'll improv a section in, and it's
Exactly.
like, so that's the beauty of it. And the recording that I did of the album for the DSB, I had ideas to the songs. I knew what the melodies kind of sounded like. I mean, I didn't have anything finished.
Yeah.
I had the ideas for the music, and I had ideas for example, I had a verse and a chorus. I didn't have anything else. We went in, did it live off the floor.
Nice.
I taught the guys the songs the day of the recording. You know what I mean? I really wanted to have the essence of, okay, we're doing this live. It's a trio, so bass, drums, guitar, and we got a sweet product out. I got a couple more songs I need to finish by the end of the month. I have 3 songs left to sing on.
Okay.
Like I said, the music was done live.
Okay.
That's it. I'm hoping everything, the printing process and all that, I want to print some vinyls. But I already have a few songs on streaming platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and all. Whatever platform is out there, it's on there. So.
But it's something that I really like that you said is, and it resonated with, this comment, or I don't remember if I'd read this somewhere or fucking someone told me this, but at the moment, I think it was actually, I saw a clip of Rick Rubin saying something like this. So yeah, I think he knows.
Smart man.
I think he knows a thing or two about music.
Think so.
I think so.
Well, he feels something. That's for sure.
And it was something along the lines of, the moment you release it, it's not yours anymore.
Aha.
And so the way someone interprets a song, the way someone, it's not up to you. So good and bad, it doesn't really matter anymore. Like the whole process of it, of creating the art, is what you need to be in love with. Because the moment it's literally uploaded or printed on something and someone is taking it, you have no control of their thoughts. You have no control of their emotions, their emotional state, where, someone hears this song and it's let's say a breakup song, just to label a song. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a breakup song. It's about a heartbreak or whatever it is. And they're going through that right now. It'll fucking resonate. But if someone, like a magnet, it'll just stick to them, but if someone is in love and everything, this song just might not have that connection right now. But then all of a sudden, 3 years later, who knows? The heartbreak happens, they hear it again, and they're like, wow, this song really speaks with me now. So it's the same song. It hasn't changed. You've changed, So that's what's kind of nice about this stuff is that once it's released, you're not holding as much weight to the validation, I guess, from someone else outside of yourself.
And another thing I want to add to that is that if you're honest with yourself in that piece of creation that that you put out, that song or whatever it is, if you stay true and honest to it, I mean, whether people, it's that's for that's what works. That's what it's you're not faking it.
Yeah.
And people will feel that, whether they like the style of song or not. People will feel that.
We released an EP like 2005 or whatever, 2006. It's long ago. But I still love that EP. When I hear it, because I hear, and I've said this in the past, I hear like the memories. I hear we were so honest in those sessions with each other, and we brought our best game possible. Like, this is really what we thought was the best that we could do. Could it be better? For sure, it could be better. Like, who knows, whatever. But at that time, like, this was our best that we could do.
And it becomes timeless that way.
Exactly. And we were so proud of that CD and that EP that even once in a blue moon, when I'll put it on and I hear it once in a blue moon today, I'm like, I still fucking like this song. Not because, I'm reminiscing. I know that this was something we were so honest and so happy with.
That's right.
Like, how could I not be happy listening to an honest record?
It makes you, that's right. You feel something from it.
You totally feel something.
Yeah. I'm actually one of the old members from the band from Hadley hooked me up, and he's like, hey, we have a big catalog of songs that were never released, that were never like, put out there. Yeah. And started listening to some of the old stuff, and I was like, oh, I was like, it's right. It's just like, this is timeless. This works. And I'm actually going to pursue it, and we're actually going to go ahead and like work on some of the older songs that, like once I said, they were never really released, and probably going to put it out there.
How does it
It's
feel?
not going to be under that name.
Yeah.
It's going to be under something else, another project. I'm not going to mention anything yet, but yeah.
How does it feel to listen to one of those songs?
It's really interesting when you listen to it, like you just said, you're like, whoa, you kind of get that goosebump. You're like, wow, this is cool, and it feels like it's timeless.
Do you remember recording the song on some of them?
I remember being actually not really remembering the whole process, but I remember, like, if I go back in time, saying, oh yeah, like when I hear the song, I'm like, oh, like things start to like get a little, less vague, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember this, and I remember being, at the time, we had like put out what was at the time the last album we did, and then we were just working on more music, It's just like, which was cool in a sense. We didn't have that thing where it's like, oh yeah, like we got signed, we put out an album, and this is it, I'm done. It's like, no, man, we were actually working for the next one and the next one. So we had a catalog of I don't know, not many songs, because obviously the band disbanded, but we had something like close to, I don't know, 30 tunes that we had.
There's fucking 3 records almost. You know what I mean? When you think about it, it's 3 additional potential records at 30 songs.
So so probably gonna pick 8 to 10 of those, and
that's cool, man.
And say, okay, this works, and yeah.
So what are you excited about coming up now?
I'm excited to put out the album for DSB. Summer. I'm excited for summer in a sense where there's like so many of really cool shows that I'll be playing, whether it be with the original project, or we're doing some really awesome tribute act shows with the Bob Marley tribute with One Love project.
Do you travel a lot for that tribute? Because I saw you traveling at one point. Like,
yeah.
Is the traveling part of the tribute band, or is it just traveling to travel?
No, it's part of the tribute bands.
Okay.
And part of the bands. Nothing really far out. Well, I mean, I do a few. We're going. It's always within the province right now.
Okay.
But it's like. It's going to start expanding. Well, the project I just mentioned to you, I'm headed down to Florida to actually do the recording in nice. September, end of September. The DSB, I'd like to take it out on the road, whether it be Canada, US, Europe, wherever, wherever it takes me.
Yeah.
As for the other acts, well, if somebody wants the tribute act, actually, we're doing one in Cornwall this summer, the Bob Marley tribute. There's a festival there, Reggae Fest in Cornwall, and the same promoters have one in BC.
Oh, nice.
It didn't pan out this year, but we might be doing it next year. So
nice.
There you go. To answer your question, pretty much every band is going to start expanding out of the province, out of the country. We did a really cool July 1st Canada Day gig, Toronto by Lake Ontario in the park.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the park, but it was with Q107, the radio station there, and we did a Red Hot Chili Peppers tribute.
Oh, nice.
Really awesome, man. There's like, I don't know, like many, many thousands of people in the park. We're like, wow, this is trippy, man.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's fun.
Good, man. And look, we talked about you growing up playing guitar. We talked about the fucking ups and downs. We talked about the new projects. Is there something you feel like you would want someone to know about you before ending the session? Ending the podcast?
DavidSegretiBand.com. I got a website out. Spotify, you can just look up the name, whether it be on my website. Website is actually, I just put it up, still under construction, but it's fully functional. You can get 3 of the tracks on all the streaming platforms. There's a track called Dizzy, there's a track called Brown Paper Bag, and there's a track called Down and Out. Whether we're all down and out at one point, but we're never out for the count.
Amazing, dude.
One Love Project.
Good, man.
That's basically that's what I'm up to, and I'm sticking to it.
Awesome, man. Dude, I'm so happy Liz made this happen. Like, just
thanks, Liz.
Yeah, seriously. Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Alessandro. Dude, and it was just like she kept on saying you get along so well, and
yes,
it was fucking like, dude,
they're
from even the parking
souls.
Scenario, you know, like I was like, yeah, even just the texting, going back and forth, it was awesome. It was super easy working with you, man, to get you to come. And
you're so awesome too, man. Thanks, Stef, for having me on.
Thanks, bro. I really appreciate you being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing the tracks.
Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast.
It's always the subscribe, like
DMW,
and that's it, dude. Thank you so much.
Peace out. Yeah. Sweet. That was fun.
Hey, thanks for checking out the show. It's been awesome working on this project. And if you like it, tell a friend. And if you want to support the show, you can by 1, subscribing and liking our YouTube channel at the DMW Podcast. 2, you can go to our website and sign up to our mailing list at the DMWpodcast.com. And 3, you can follow us on Instagram at the DMW Podcast. Thanks again for all of your support. My name is Stef, and this is the Dead Man Walking Podcast.